I did something that I had no right to do, morally or legally.
When teacher Mary Kay Letourneau gave one of her students one-on-one lessons in sex education, she was arrested for rape. Now, shocking new allegations about her life behind bars from a close friend she met in prison.
She has a lot of friends that think it's okay what she did.
Hurricane Carter might have won it all, but he never got the chance. Imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit.
He never acted like a prisoner. He refused to be treated like one.
Now, our Catherine Cryer steps in the ring with the real Hurricane. Plus, it's our Friday celebrity rap sheet, and Jane Fonda, Scary Spice, and the Beach Boys are all feeling some not very good vibrations. All that and more tonight on Pros and Cons.
She risked everything, her marriage, her career, even her children, all in order to have an affair with a 13-year-old elementary school student. Tonight, an ex-prison mate of Mary Kay Letourneau gives a rare and a shocking glimpse of the teacher-turned-rapist behind bars. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Pros and Cons. I'm Nancy Grace. It was a sex crime that shocked the nation. A beautiful young Seattle school teacher who gave it all up for what she calls a passionate love affair. A love affair with a 6th grade boy. Now, new details are swirling about Letourneau's life behind bars. Court TV's Michael Ayala has a story.
I did something that I had no right to do, morally or legally.
A repentant Mary Kay Letourneau pleads for leniency at her 1998 sentencing for raping a 13-year-old student.
I give you my word that it will not happen again. Please. Please help me.
And the judge believed her, suspending the confessed child rapist sentence, provided she stay away from her young lover.
I am satisfied that the defendant is amenable to community-based treatment.
But less than 3 months later, police catch Letourneau with the boy again in a parked car in this Seattle neighborhood. Her reunion with the boy resulted in losing her freedom and produced a second pregnancy.
It appears the time of conception was, days before she was arrested.
Letourneau was then sent back to serve the rest of her 7.5-year prison sentence.
There's a lot of people that don't believe she deserved 7 years prison time for it. I certainly don't.
Christina Dress got to know Mary Kay over a year and a half when the two were nearby cellmates at this Washington State Correctional Facility. But Christina says Mary, who lost her family, her career, and her freedom, does not regret a thing.
Mary feels like she has something that some of us will never have. Her one true love. And she believes that wholeheartedly.
The two Letourneau children that she had with a teenage student are now being raised by the boy's mother. And with us live tonight from Tacoma, Washington, Mary Kay's prison mate, Christina Dress. Hi, Christina.
Hello.
Thanks for being with me. Also live from Tacoma, veteran true crime writer Gregg Olsen. Gregg is in constant contact with Mary Kay Letourneau and is the author of the book, If Loving You Is Wrong. Now, there's kind of a euphemism, Gregg, to both of you. Welcome to Pros and Cons. Christine, let me go to you first. Christina, you spent a lot of time behind bars with Mary Kay Letourneau, but first of all, why were you behind bars?
I did a little creative banking.
Oh.
Some forgery and computer crime, a little bit of hacking.
And during your time there, you met up with Mary Kay Letourneau. Just crazy question, how long were you with Letourneau before she mentioned her lover, Billy Falau?
Probably an hour.
And what were her thoughts at that point?
She talks about Billy very openly. She has a lot to say, and she says how much she misses him, and she wasn't sure she was going to be able to get through her time, without him.
Well, she, as a matter of fact, did not do 7.5 years behind bars. She was released early, and Gregg Olsen, as you well know, you're in constant contact with her, she immediately hooked back up with Billy and got pregnant again in a car.
That's right. In fact, just to clarify, Christina was in prison with Mary, not in county jail, which is where
Correct.
Mary was. But they met after she was arrested the second time and lost everything.
Well, you know, it's incredible. And Christina, I know that you've had basically a pen pal relationship. You've got a lot of letters from Mary Kay Letourneau as well. Does she still think she did nothing wrong?
She's certain she did nothing wrong. I mean, and like I've said before, she feels that she's blessed and lucky, and she said that to me exactly, that she's got something that some of us will never have. She's certain of it.
Well, it's incredible that after the original sentence, the resentencing back to jail after she was released, just recently in November, I believe the 19th, she was put in solitary confinement for phone conversations again with Billy. Doesn't she know they have her conversations? They can record them. They can eavesdrop on them.
Yeah, she knew that, and she knew it months ago when it happened. The same thing happened to her for communication with Billy. It doesn't bother her because she wants the instant gratification of talking to him now. She loves him, she misses him, and she's going to communicate with him no matter what.
And she'll even do solitary confinement. You know, a lot of us on the outside wonder what she sees in what was once a 6th grade student. But what has started a storm of controversy is an allegation, I believe it was in the Globe magazine, of lesbian relationships Mary Kay Letourneau is having behind bars. And you refute that, is that correct?
The Globe was a gross exaggeration. I've told them that, and I will tell you that. Very little in that article had any truth to it at all. I did talk to them. I made a few comments to them that were true, and they just went to Hollywood with it. That's what I've
So you refute those allegations. And Gregg Olsen, it leads me to a very interesting point. Everyone that meets Mary Kay Letourneau, Gregg, they seem to be fascinated with her, and there are all these accounts about her relationships behind bars. Gregg, what do you make of it?
The allegation of the lesbian affair?
Well, just the continued fascination with Mary Kay Letourneau. Here, this story is apparently trumped up in the Globe about lesbian relationships, but there's still an ongoing fascination with Mary Kay Letourneau.
There is, and sometimes I just can't imagine why it does continue, but Mary is a media magnet. People just go to her. They have, she has access to the media in ways that most prisoners don't have. I mean, she can pick up the phone and call Barbara Walters if she wanted today, and I don't think of any other prisoners that could probably do that. We are fascinated because she's pretty, she's a teacher, she gave up everything for what she says is a love story, when the rest of us have a hard time buying that.
Will these phone calls to Billy Falau affect her release date? She's not exactly getting good behavior marks.
Yeah, I don't think she's earned one day of good behavior, but Mary doesn't care. I mean, she really says that I want to live my life right now, right to the fullest, and if that means thumbing my nose at the rules that they've imposed on me, I'll do it.
Well, Christina, there were some supporting comments from Mary Kay Letourneau to support the Globe story. I believe you've gotten letters from Mary Kay.
Oh yes, I'm not refuting the whole thing. I mean, Mary Letourneau is very open-minded. She's accepting and loving, and has made it very clear to me through our friendship that she doesn't care who you love. It's that you love, and she's.
Now, your letters did indicate relationships behind bars.
I believe she has had an encounter or two.
What specifically makes you say that?
Well, the specific letter is that she wrote me one letter from when she was in ADSEG and solitary, that she'd had a roommate that her back rub went a little far, and pretty soon she didn't have her pants on and was concerned it was going to go further, and she got afraid, and it did not. She also was very chummy with another young gal that resembled Billy. That was kind of the talk for a while.
Yeah, I heard that report that she had fallen for a woman behind bars that resembled Billy, her 6th grade boyfriend. But long story short...
again, it's all exaggerated.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I don't know that Mary has slept with anybody in the prison, you know.
Christina, last question before we have to go. Does she realize that she has an obsession with this boy? She's in jail. She's gone to solitary several times. Does she think they're going to have, like, a marriage and a relationship when she gets out of jail?
Oh, definitely. She's counting on it.
What about her 4 children from her husband?
She loves them. You know, she loves them. She misses them. But Billy is the focus. You know, their relationship is at the forefront of her mind always. And
Well,
she's certain that it'll be everlasting.
There were indications that her demeanor was not going to change just because she went behind bars. Gregg Olsen, thank you for being with me. Christina Dress, thank you. And your book, Mass with Mary, is coming out soon. Thank you, guys. I'll see you again on the airways.
Thank you very
Everyone,
much.
coming up next, the legal thriller about a middleweight boxer, Hurricane Carter, heads to the big screen starring Denzel Washington.
He never acted like a prisoner. He refused to be treated like one.
And then still ahead, it looks like 2 Hollywood super couples may be headed for divorce court. More on these star-studded splits tonight on Friday Night Celebrity Wrap. Middleweight boxer Hurricane Carter's fight for freedom is now a blockbuster movie. The Hurricane tells a story of injustice. Injustice suffered by the champion fighter, not in the ring, but in the courtroom. Court TV's Helen Lukatis has the story. Hel?
Nancy, this film tells the real-life story of a fighter who was wrongly convicted and imprisoned and nearly knocked out for life. Despite the fact that he spent 22 years behind bars, the boxer nicknamed the Hurricane never gave up hope in his battle for justice.
One thing I could do, and the only thing, was box. Here comes the story of the Hurricane.
In 1966, Reuben Hurricane Carter was a rising middleweight boxer until he was accused of murdering 3 people in a New Jersey bar.
We're looking for 2 Negroes in a white car.
Any 2 will do.
Look carefully, sir. Are these the 2 men who shot you?
In a racially charged case, Carter was convicted by an all-white jury and sentenced to prison for life.
I've committed no crime. The crime's been committed against me.
Carter, played by Denzel Washington, endured more than 20 years in prison.
He was able to handle it. You know, I don't know that. I know I couldn't. I don't know who else could.
Behind bars, Carter wrote a book about his injustice. Years later, a teenager named Lesra Martin read the book and started writing Carter letters. Eventually, the 2 met.
You think I killed those people, son? No, I know you didn't.
In the movie, as in real life, Lesra and 3 Canadians who were raising him take on Carter's fight for justice.
But the man's innocent. Yet he's been in jail 15, 16 years. It's not right.
Thanks to their effort, Carter makes one final appeal to a federal judge.
Your Honor, this case was built on a foundation of lies.
20 years spent locked up in a cage. Justice, that's all I ask for. Hate put me in prison. Love's gonna bust me out.
Some people have criticized the film, saying it romanticizes Reuben Carter's life, but everybody seems to agree that Denzel Washington's performance as Carter is phenomenal. Nancy, I did see the film. It's a good legal film, and it's really hard to believe that someone could endure so much adversity and still keep fighting.
Helen, thanks so much. Tonight, we've got a very special guest, the newest member to our Court TV family. It's Catherine Cryer. Her new show premieres this Monday at 1 o'clock. Hi, Catherine.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
Catherine today. Catherine, your show is Cryer Today, and you are really kicking it off with a bang. You're going to have the real Hurricane on.
Yes, I went out to see the film. Fascinating film, fascinating story. But we are not only going to have Reuben Carter on, Hurricane Carter, we're going to have John Artis on, who was the co-defendant, who also served the time. And these two have not sat down together to do a television interview in 20 years.
Wow, so some reunion.
Yeah.
Catherine, I've heard a lot about the movie. I plan to see it this weekend, but what were some of the injustices he suffered?
Well, it was quite extraordinary because there was a lot of fabricated evidence, evidence that was not turned over by the prosecution, a lot of complaints about the investigation as well as the trial itself. And he was in fact tried twice, convicted twice, and only when this was presented ultimately in federal court were they able to release him after years and years in prison.
Catherine, doesn't it just make you cringe cringe. You're a former prosecutor, a former trial court judge, and when you hear of evidence being fabricated and prosecutors framing someone, it just makes me cringe when I hear about it.
Well, it does happen. It's rare, and we need to emphasize that. It is rare, but the legal system is made up of human beings, and there are times that human beings are not only fallible, but actually, you know, malevolently go out and cause problems, and apparently that was the case with Reuben Carter.
What a way to start your show. And Catherine, you've got something a lot of people don't have. You're not just some talking head. You are in the trenches, trying cases, sitting as a judge, overseeing cases. So when you have a story like this, it has a whole different meaning to you.
Well, absolutely. And also it's been wonderful because I've now spent 10 years in journalism, and to be able to recombine here at Court TV all the trial experience for years and years with the journalism experience, I feel like I'm coming home.
Now, I'm going to be buckled in at 1 o'clock on Monday, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Your show is going to be an hour long, and you'll have live guests starting off with the real hurricane. What else do you have planned?
Well, we've got some great stuff next week. Larry Flynt.
Oh,
the
Lord.
infamous Larry Flynt.
The freedom fighter,
yes,
Larry
indeed,
Flynt.
who is now developing a magazine to target to teens. We want to chat with Larry about this development. We also have the whistleblower in the big Texaco racism case, the employment case, is coming up next week. And we have a few surprise guests I don't want to mention now, but big celebrities. It's going to be fascinating. And we're going to have an opportunity to not only talk about direct legal cases, but how the law affects all of us every day in our lives. And it's occurring more and more. You know, we live by the rules, and we need to understand them better so we can cope with it.
Catherine, with everything on your plate right now, I want to thank you for coming to Pros and Cons tonight, and I'll be watching.
Thank you very much,
Thanks a lot.
Nancy.
I'll see you on Monday.
Okay.
Everyone, up next, it looks like Spice Girl Scary Spice couldn't keep that necessary ingredient in her marriage. That celebrity split and more tonight on Celebrity Rap. It's been a busy week in Hollywood, but not for the usual red carpet events. The stars and their significant others have shown up in droves for appointments with divorce lawyers. Celebrity expert Martin Lewis joins me now live from L.A. to give us the legal lowdown. Hi, Martin.
Hello, happy everything to you, Nancy. You know, to paraphrase my old pal and compatriot Pete Townsend, meet the new century, same as the old century. We've got stars in legal scrapes, their lawyers bailing them out, and we get to enjoy the spectacle. It's just the same old game. So let's watch and have a see of this week's celebrity contestants.
You can only go down the same road so many times.
Charlie Sheen's New Year's resolution must be to have fewer lawsuits.
Go right down the tubes. You can feel it happen.
The actor, who lately has become as well known for his court as his screen appearances, has just settled a lawsuit that was filed against him by two young ladies who claimed that when they arrived as invited to his home, they were assaulted by Sheen's bodyguard, who calls himself Zippy.
Bit of a social misfit.
The two self-described actresses were seeking an unspecified amount in damages for battery, negligence and infliction of emotional distress. The terms of the settlement were not disclosed, but did not affect trading on Wall Street.
I get excited being escorted by a man like this.
A couple of celebrity couples have discovered a Y2K bug in their marriages and are trying to remedy the problem with an antivirus program called Separation 1.0. The king of all news media, Ted Turner, and his wife, actress role model Jane Fonda, have decided to separate because they each need more, quote, personal time, unquote.
It's wonderful to be with Jane.
In their announcement, which came on the heels of the 8th anniversary of their union, they stressed that they are not planning a demerger. This is the third marriage for both.
This is Mel B, and I'm known as Scary.
Not to be outdone by the Turner-Fonda split, the Spice Girl known as Scary Spice is reportedly splitting from her dancer husband Jimmy Gulzar after a marriage that has lasted well over 15 months.
I think with boys, you should be able to just wheel them in.
Reports had been circulating that the two had been fighting hard to save their long union for the sake of their 10-month-old baby Spice. But New Year's Eve was when Scary said what she really, really wanted.
That's the most important thing, being true to yourself.
I'm tired of talking about stalkers. Let's talk about you.
Cameron Diaz had a sticky, hair-raising experience at Los Angeles airport recently when $7,000 in cash and her passport was stolen from her purse. But before she was completely overcome with grief, the stolen property was recovered and returned to her.
Hey, what's in your purse? Lots of stuff.
Airport security employee Mary Watkins was arrested for investigation of grand theft after she was caught red-handed on a surveillance camera, a tape which apparently proved that there was something about Mary. There are some bad vibrations in the Beach Boys family this week as Fun 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 has turned to Sue Sue Sue. Founding member Al Jardine will not be performing under the band name Beach Boys Family and Friends thanks to a judge's temporary ruling. Another founding member, Mike Love, claims that only he has the right to use the Beach Boys name. How will all this suing USA turn out? God only knows. So relieved to have a celebrity legal story that we're not covering, and that was the near murder of George Harrison. A lot of people felt that his life was saved by Britain's stringent gun laws, the ones the NRA are always making fun of.
And his $2 million security system, huh?
Oh, indeed.
Martin, with all these Hollywood divorces spreading like a virus, Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michael Douglas, what's the story on that?
Well, they're bucking the trend. In fact, Catherine Zeta-Jones has signed 2 agreements in a space of a couple of days. Michael Douglas proposed to her on New Year's Eve, surrounded just by friends and a few close personal attorneys, but he made her sign a prenuptial agreement. He's got $300 million, and he gave $75 million away in his last divorce, so he didn't want to risk anything. But then she just signed a deal to launch her own production company with up to $600 million in production funds. So I suppose she's not worried too much about that.
Martin, I guess that's going to be the mother of all prenups. And what's the age difference there, 25 years?
Oh, a mere 25 years. It gives a lot of hope to us aging fellows, Nancy, that she can get away with that. Beautiful woman.
I'd like a look at that prenup. Martin, it's so great to have you back again. Happy New Year.
And the same to you. Lovely to see you.
Everyone, we've got to say goodnight, but Monday on Pros and Cons, a 23-year-old man gets light punishment for sex with an 11-year-old girl. And then, to add insult to injury, the judge says it takes 2 to tango, laying blame on the 11-year-old. That's Monday on Pros and Cons. Everyone, thanks for watching tonight. I'm Nancy Grace, but from all of us here at Pros and Cons, have a great weekend and good night.